Namaste and welcome to today's episode of Interview. Guest for today's evening is an amazing personality who is a wildlife enthusiast. He is none other than Rupankar Bhattacharjee. So let's welcome Rupankar Bhattacharjee to the studio. Hello Mr. Bhattacharjee, welcome you to this session of interview. Thank you so much for taking out some time for this valuable session.
Big thanks to you, Pallabi, for inviting me to this podcast, and I'm really it's an honor for me to share this platform with you, and that's all. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. So moving on to the first question, we would like to know about yourself a little bit.
So about myself, you want to
Yeah.
know? Okay, so I come from starting from my studies, if I say, so I come from a commerce background. So in class 11, I started studying science, but for me, continuing in that particular field was a bit difficult. I understood that physics was not my cup of tea,
Okay.
and I had to just back off, and I came to commerce. I did my graduation from KC Das Commerce College, but I always had this feeling of getting into this the field of wildlife, because snakes used to be the main thing. I was always attracted to snakes. So I met Dr. Jayaditya Purkayastha sir, and my first project was the Assam State Zoo snake house, where I was asked to design that particular snake house. So in 2018, it was around April or May, we got I was asked to design the snake house, and yes, the current day snake house is what I have made, and the credit goes to Dr. Jayaditya Purkayastha sir. Anirban Chaudhary sir, he helped me a lot in designing this particular thing. So after that, I got into this particular field of wildlife, and now I'm associated with Assam State Zoo as a content creator and a filmmaker and photographer, because photography is sort of my passion. I do it side by side, but as a freelancer, I'm working as a wildlife filmmaker. Other than that, I have a small startup, and the name of the startup is Inside Out. I am one of the co-founder, and Dr. Jayaditya Purkayastha sir is also a co-founder. We have a few more members in our team, and Aniket Dhar is playing a very big role in our startup, because he does the designing and marketing part, and we mainly manufacture paper from water hyacinth, that is handmade paper. So water hyacinth, everybody knows. In Assamese we know it as meteka. In Hindi we know it as jalkumbhi. So in most of our wetlands, particularly I am working in the working on Diporbil, conservation of Diporbil, and Diporbil has water hyacinth is a very big problem at Diporbil, and that is why we came to a point that we have to make something out of it, and we started making paper from water hyacinth. So that is what we are doing
Okay,
currently.
you are doing a great job indeed. So tell about
Thank you so much.
something about your experience working in Assam State Zoo.
Uh, so I am associated with Assam State Zoo since 2017, 2018 most probably. I don't know. I don't remember the year. So it's been around 4 years most probably. I'm associated. So Assam State Zoo. See, being very honest, it's not because I'm working with Assam State Zoo. There was a time when I used to consider myself in that sort of a public who will go to zoo and say that "Arey zoo mein kuch nahi hai." So this used to be a very common thing.
Yeah.
Okay, that we go to zoo and then we say that there is no tigers, because we get inside zoo, because coming from a visitor's point of view, if we say zoo is a place where a visitor will come in search of an animal. So when we go to the zoo and we don't get to see the animal, that is where we become disappointed. But now, as I am associated with Assam State Zoo, now I know there are more than 1,200 animals in Assam State Zoo, and Assam State Zoo is one of the most naturalistic zoo all over India. I haven't been to many zoos, but overall, whatever I am doing, as I'm associated with zoo, and I'm also studying the architectural part. I study myself for my own knowledge, and I've seen, and as I'm associated with the zoo as a content creator, and I have to make films of Assam State Zoo. So while shooting the animals, generally you will see that people, whoever is working at zoo or for zoo and making videos or taking photographs, they will generally take up a specialized corner where they can sit down and then shoot the animals. But at the zoo, trust me, if you go, there is a movie called The Wonders of Assam State Zoo. I have it in my YouTube account, and it is also there in the Assam State Zoo YouTube channel.
Okay.
That entire movie, I did it without like taking up any specialized corner for shooting the animals. I used to go there at zoo. I used to take out that particular time where there is no visitor. Like Friday, zoo is closed, and I took the permission while like shooting the videos on Fridays, and I used to go there at like particularly on Fridays, and I used to shoot the animals over there. So while taking the videos, I have seen that it is very easy to stand in a visitor's like area and shoot like take videos of animals, because that particular place is so well designed that the animals are getting their own space, and we as a visitor, when we visit, we get our own space, and there is no sort of like disturbance because the space is very big. So yes, that is a very good experience I'm going through at zoo, being their content creator. So that is what.
I have seen that you are a snake lover. You know how to handle a snake. So tell something about that context.
Uh, so I'll just talk about first, when we talk about snakes, people, they are generally they are afraid of snakes, right? But we are afraid of snakes because we don't know which snake is venomous and which snake is non-venomous. That is where the main problem comes. Like everybody knows that if we get to see a tiger, they have a normal habit because they are big cat and they are predators, and they will just come and hit you, or they may like attack. That is what we generally know. But with snakes, there are a lot of mythological things associated. Like snakes, we know that snake, they will drink milk, and there is rat snake which will hit you with its tail and you may die. So these are the things which are mythologically associated. So these were some myths even I have learned from my parents, my grandparents, and even in our society these things keeps on going. But gradually I met Dr. Jayaditya Purkastha sir, and my hunger to learn about snakes, like that time it was like that time I got my satisfaction because I got to learn a lot from Dr. Jayaditya sir, and I'm still learning from Jayaditya sir. So it was a good experience. I learned how snakes can be differentiated into venomous and non-venomous. I learned that more than 80% snakes that are found are non-venomous. And then I used to go to rescue operations while doing some research work. I used to be with sir. So that's how I understood how to handle snakes. Because handling snake is not a big deal, but yes, it is a big deal if you don't know the art. And it needs little bit of courage, and yes, courage is important, but along with that, skill is also important. There are people who have courage and they are lacking the particular skill, and that's how they get bitten. And snake is something you have to handle it in a very proper manner, because one particular mistake can end our life. So generally, as because among many people, very few people can handle, I took this particular art very seriously, and I used to love snakes a lot. Photographing snake was another part which I used to love. So that's how I got into this thing. And I think that see, my everybody's parents, most probably, if I like most of our snake rescuing from our community, if we talk, our parents are never happy because everybody is afraid of snake. Even my parents, they used to be very much afraid. They are still afraid, but yes, to some extent they started supporting me now, uh, because it is a process to end. Like, we cannot end animal and human conflict, but it is a process how we can at least take part in solving the problem by rescuing a snake, taking like I need to take precaution, because if I live, I can only then only I can save a snake. So I need to also protect a snake. I need to also protect the community from snakes. There must not be any conflict, and I also need to live to protect everyone. So that's how I think this cycle goes on.
Okay. How difficult is it to study the behavior of wildlife?
Uh, See, I will say that it depends on the interest. and everything is difficult. I have been with my parents since my birth, and I still couldn't study their behavior. So how can I talk about wildlife behavior? And yes, there are some common things which generally come up. Spending good time with wildlife is how you understand their behavior. And yes, we need to study a lot, because without studying wildlife, because see, there are already like renowned scientists in this field, and they have come up with various theories. So we have to, like, generally we have to go through that first and then get into the field of wildlife. And yes, best way to learn, like, see, everything is difficult. Even like I remember when it was the first time I was holding a pencil and I was trying to write A and then B and then C, D. So that was also a difficult task. And while I started, because I started with Dr. Jayaditya Purkasa sir again, I went along with him for birding sessions, and I used to see that the entire group, they can get to see the bird just with the slight of movement, and I was the only odd one out. I used to keep on searching birds and I could never find them. That's how gradually I understood the behavior of their flight. Then I started studying their call, and that's how I learned that birding starts with your ears, not your eyes. Because first of all, we have to be very, very focused with our ears, because a slight movement you may not see, but you can hear. So that's how we can search a bird. So in that particular way, animal behavior is also associated. Like handling snakes, now we have understood. See, snakes are generally, they are little calm. There are aggressive snakes as well. So an aggressive snake can also become calm after some time if you keep on handling them, if you give them little bit time to rest. So they become cool, like they will cool down. So that's how it is associated with every animal. And more time you spend with in the field, that's how you understand you get the practical experience. And you study books to know about the morphological stuffs. That is how I have learned, and I'm still learning.
So I would like to ask you something about your another patient that is playing a guitar.
Okay, playing a guitar. I like when I was in class 9, I remember 8, 9, 10, like it started. I'm a big fan of Hrithik Roshan. That's how my love for music came, because I still love dancing. At times, whoever is associated with me in Instagram or Facebook, they'll know I keep uploading things related to music and dance. Like the artistic field was always a big time hit in my life. I started dancing, and I used to be bit popular in my area till class 9 and 10. Then I left because I got into business at a very early age. Maybe from class 11, 12, I started working as a freelancer, and then I got into the startup things. Okay. Music came in my life because I can sing a little bit at times. So I felt like, yes, I need a little bit of rhythm along with me while I sing, and I enjoy company of myself playing guitar. So that's how I got into learning guitar, and I learned it for most probably 6 to 7 months, and then I understood that it needs a lot of skill, and I'm not at all skillful, and I was not being able to cope up with that. So little bit of rhythm that I have learned is what I manage till now. I manage with that little bit of rhythm, whatever I have learned with that skills. I managed to keep on like humming and singing at times. So that is a very good pastime of mine. Whenever I feel depressed, I go for birding, and whenever I feel very happy and I'm in a very, very good mood, then my entire people, like from my colony, they will understand, like, I shout and I keep on singing.
Okay. So that's really nice, and it's really exciting to listen to such storytelling from your side. So what was the story behind capturing that darter with its prey in Kaziranga National Park?
Okay, that was 2020, 25th December. My father, he came up to me on 23rd December, and he said that, what are you doing on 25th? I said that, father, I am doing nothing. I have no plans. So he said, I have a gift for you. So my father became Santa Claus, and he took me to Kaziranga. And that was the first time I went to Kaziranga as a tourist. because I have been to Vishwanath Ghat, which is maybe the 6th or 7th edition of Kaziranga North or something, Kaziranga South, I forgot. Okay, so I was working at there for a project of Turtle Survival Alliance. During that time, I have been to that place. So I never visited Kaziranga as a visitor, and I had my camera, that is Nikon D7200 with 600 mm Tamron lens. And I have always, like, whenever we go to Diporbil, we get to see birds like darter and cormorants. That was the first time I found a darter, and it was very, very much close to my area, like my vision, and it was getting inside the water, and it was like, juggling the fish, and then it was swallowing. So that was a very good sight for me, and such a movement or birds in action I love to shoot. Like, for me, I find it very difficult to photograph birds in action, but yeah, taking a video for me is bit easier because I have that steady hands for video, because I have always focused on making videos. So that was my first time I got to see that scene, and I felt like anyhow possible I was waiting there. Like, our jeep safari guide was also good. We stood there for more than 20 minutes to get that sight again, because I knew that's how, like, visiting field, and you get to know that yes, this bird is going to do that again. That's how I got the experience, and based on little bit of experience I have gained, I waited for 20 minutes and I got the shot again. So that was a very good experience from my side to capture that video of darter.
That photograph was really incredible.
Thank you so much.
So, what type of project are you working on at the present in Diporbil?
So currently, talking about my personal projects, I generally keep on visiting Diporbil, and I go for a little bit of bird count, because I have worked less in wetland birds. Like, birds, I haven't worked that much. My main focus was always amphibian and reptiles, mostly reptiles, snakes especially. So birds, I love them. They're like my best stress buster is bird watching. I keep on visiting Diporbil because I want to increase my checklist to learn more about birds and their ecology. So that is a personal project I am doing. I am shooting a little bit of Diporbil about the birds and whatsoever. Because in my Instagram you will see that I make reels related to wildlife in that way. Because reels are becoming very popular these days, and for me, I'm not that skilled. I'm not that skilled to teach anybody about video or photography. But whatever I know, little bit about wildlife, I teach people. Like, for me, I share my knowledge of wildlife through reels in Instagram, and that is why I keep on visiting Diporbil. That is one. I'm not an expert to teach anybody related to anything related to photography or videography, but whatever knowledge I have regarding animals, I try to share it with people through reels, because reels is one of the most easiest way to reach more and more people and to share knowledge. So that's one thing I'm doing personally. And the second project that I'm doing is that water hyacinth is an invasive weed which came to India in around 1858 or something, and from that particular moment, a Britisher came up with the flower and gifted it to some person from Bengal or somewhere. So that is why the other name of water hyacinth is Terror of Bengal, because it spread all over India from Bengal.
Yeah.
So water hyacinth keeps on blooming and taking up the entire space of a wetland. There are many problems coming up, like the sunlight cannot reach the wetland, like water surface. When the water hyacinth dies, it creates siltation beneath the in the surface bed, water surface bed. So that is why, because of siltation, the water surface, like the water level also declines, and many birds are facing breeding failure. The fish population is declining slowly and gradually. The water area is also declining. So there are many problems which are associated, and water hyacinth is a big problem. That is creating the problem. So we thought that how to utilize, because water hyacinth is a sort of an ecological waste, but not considering it as a waste, we thought of making paper out of it. There were many projects that came up. Many projects, first from maybe Kenya, and then in Bangladesh there were some companies making paper from water hyacinth, but most of them were not that successful. And we have made 100% organic, chemical free paper from water hyacinth. So we have three different sort of paper. One comes with like recycle paper, water hyacinth, 50-50 mix. One comes with 90% water hyacinth and like 85% water hyacinth and 15% recycled paper. And another comes with 100% water hyacinth. So there are three different papers we are making from water hyacinth. So according to our startup and our projected, whatever, according to our projections, we'll be using more than 1 ton of water hyacinth per month, and that is how we can help in the controlled growth of water hyacinth at Diporbil.
Okay, you are really doing a great job. So now I would
Thank you, thank you.
like to ask about the story behind the Steppy Eagle, which you have shot.
Okay, the Steppy Eagle. See, as I am associated with Assam State Zoo, so most of my conservation photographs that I upload is from the zoo, because I find that in the wild it is difficult to. I hardly travel, and my if I travel, I mainly go to the zoo. I keep on trekking in the Hangrabari Reserve Forest area. So that particular eagle was an injured eagle that came to Assam State Zoo, and they found it nearby. Some Ganesh Guri, maybe Hangravari side only. They got this. This was a rescued steppy eagle, as much as I got to know, and it was treated at Assam State Zoo, and it became a healthy eagle later on. So when it became like all fit and fine, so they released it in the wild. So the time they released it in the wild, I was with them. So it came, it flew, and it was like, like it perched on a branch nearby where the sunlight was coming in such a beautiful way that I got to, like, shoot a low key photograph. There was little bit of background. The background was little bit darkish, and there was little bit of sunlight falling on its face. So I got a good portrait shot at that moment of time. So that was the story behind the Steppy Eagle.
Okay, could you please share a story from your forest exploring? Because I have seen you often go to forest and explore that forest.
Yeah. So there is a beautiful story from Garbhanga Reserve Forest. So it was around 6:30 in the evening, summers. So 6:30 at time, that was bit dark in the forest, and we were walking like backwards, like towards our car, and we were planning to get back home. I suddenly saw that was my first time, and I suddenly like I never got snake in the wild. So I saw there was because we were using the torch, and there was a shiny thing, like a shiny line passing through. I just took my torch, and I tried to find that, and that was a Zau's wolf snake. So Zau's wolf snake is a species of wolf snake, non-venomous category, which is mainly found in the forested area, and I have never seen that, and especially in the wild. So that was a very good experience of mine, and luckily that particular snake, it went properly, and there was a little bit of leaf fallen. So I just I plucked a leaf, a big, that kosu path we say. So that there was a wild leaf I got. I took it, and I just placed it in front of it, and you won't believe, we didn't handle the snake. The snake itself, I don't know how, it just climbed on the leaf, and it like placed itself in such a beautiful way that I took a photograph from my phone camera. I still remember that, and I uploaded, maybe most probably it's there in my Instagram account. And that was my first experience of getting a snake in the wild, and it was brilliant experience. So like, among all the other stories, this was the best story of mine.
So, what would be your piece of advice to the young aspirants who are willing to come to this field?
Even I'm young and I'm in a learning stage, but yes, definitely I can share a little bit of experience that I have gained. Coming to this field is really very like, you need a lot of energy, and energetic people, definitely they need to come to this field, because wildlife is something we are all running after, like we are running after to protect the wildlife. So more and more people, if they come in wildlife, so the chances of conservation also increases. So yes, I will definitely ask more and more youngsters to get involved in wildlife activities. Because see, for me, like I think that everything is every single thing is associated. You will see that most of the people, the thing which you love the most, you cannot harm it. Like I love my friends so much that I'll never think about harming them, right? Or I love my family so much that I'll never think about backstabbing my family, like being very clear. So in that way, things you love the most, you will never run after harming that particular thing. And that's how I guess wildlife also acts in the same way. People, whoever is energetic, who loves wildlife, who loves nature, uh, there are many different varieties of courses nowadays available, and different fields, like herpetology is a field, uh, bird watching, like you can be a bird watcher, or you can research on birds. So there are different other fields, working on forest, and botany is a subject, zoology has many different sub divisions. So that's how, get into wildlife, you start loving wildlife, that's how more and more conservation will take place. So that's my piece of advice, that if you love something, you will definitely not harm that. You will definitely not harm them. So love wildlife, you will stop harming, and more people, if they start loving wildlife, less people will harm the wildlife, and more conservation will take place.
Okay, so it was really nice. It was great interacting with you, Mr. Bhattacharjee, and thank you so much for this valuable session. I must say that you are truly an inspiring and amazing personality.
Thank you so much, Pallavi. And it was very nice to get questions from you, and sharing this platform is also an honor. And it was really great, doing this podcast. It was really fun and
Same here.
interesting for me.
So audience, if you like watching today's video, make sure to subscribe, like and share this video. And also comment down your viewpoint regarding Rupankar Bhattacharjee's storytelling in the comment section below. I will be back soon with another eminent personality very soon. Till then, thank you so much.